Huh. It's been 3 weeks since my last tier list video. I guess not much is going on with Pokemon Unite. And even though we just had a balance patch, there really wasn't that much to it. But I do think it is worth updating the tier list video because we are now in a new ranked season. So this is going to be your Season 2 tier list for Pokemon Unite. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like, share with your friends, and comment your thoughts down below. We're also going to be splashing in some patch note discussion. So let's get into it with Greedent. Greedent is a weird Pokemon because my first impression off of seeing the Belch shenanigans was, yo, this Pokemon is broken S tier. Then I tried it out in some games and I was like, yo, Covet is slippery. Yo, if you're standing still because you're running stuffed cheeks, they can just walk out of it. And even though your Unite move is crazy, it's only when you have your Unite move, so I dropped it down to D tier. Now that was when I made my tier list video. Since then, Greedent has become B tier to me. I think it's a perfectly mid Pokemon. Like, Greedent is just mid tier. The big secret to stopping Greedent, or at least not letting it beat you, is just ignore it. It's going to run around, it's going to covet. The Pokemon's just a complete waste of time, and it's pretty much only going to be good like 2 points in the game, where it Unite moves after first Dreadnought, and then it Unite moves on Zapdos. But depending on what it's doing, like, it has to sit there and then just like kind of burst down Zapdos. But if you're actually there, and you have tempo, and you're there for the Zapdos spawn, or like 2 minutes and 10 seconds, it's hard for Greedent to get set up, so he might blow his Unite move early, or just not get a really solid usage of it, and then you blow it up while it's trying to belch out Zapdos, and then it's just fine. Or you ignore it while it's running around like missing belches because of Covet. Again, it's slippery, and once you just like stop inting into it, it's just alright, but it does have some scary pop-off potential. And there's like 1 or 2 times per game where it will land like 3 belches on you and just feel like it's melting you. But outside of that, it doesn't really do too much of anything. However, Greedent just got gutted. It loses healing on the passive. Apparently, Covet was bugged. Fix a bug that allowed Belch to be spammed more quickly than intended under certain conditions. So maybe there were just some times in some games where you got blown up or you couldn't dodge the Belch because it was actually bugged. And then we have a Bullet Seed buff. No one was picking it, so that's a thing. Stuffed Cheeks, that was the worst moveset, so it was mostly Covet being the problem. And then Belch getting a pretty significant cut. I don't know like what this means for the exact damage numbers because like the ratio and the per level and the attack, and sometimes there's like shenanigans with just attack weight and Aos cookie stacking and whatnot. But overall, like, the Pokemon, it's not going to get away with as much because of the healing nerf, and it's not going to be doing as much damage at all stages of the game. So yeah, I think the Pokemon has gone from B tier back down to D tier. I say this nerf just makes it unviable, but not as bad as Slowbro. And that's kind of it. Like, I had Greedent initially just above Slowbro, and Slowbro's the worst Pokemon in the game. Greedent got a little bit more like, okay, gotta kind of respect it, but also don't chase it. Just let it do its thing, and then just play the game like it's 4v5, and it's not as strong as people are saying. And then it just gets, like, completely nerfed into the ground and bug fixed and stuff. So yeah, I don't really see much going on with Greedent. And after that, we can now transition into the list where I say Garchomp has to be S tier. No, this is not a meme. No, this is not a joke. I have put in over a dozen hours on Garchomp since the tier list, and mostly just like in the last week or so, and this is one of the strongest Pokemon in the game at almost all stages of the game. You have like a weird level 5 and 7 power trough, but at level 6 you get your scoop, so you create an opportunity for a gank. At level 8 you get your combo. You need to be going Dragon Claw, Dragon Rush. The reason why people think Garchomp is bad is 1, they have terrible game sense, 2, they don't know how Gibble works, and then 3, they're going Dig and or Earthquake. Nah, the only viable moves are Dragon Claw and Dragon Rush because of the crowd control. So that's a thing. And then level 9, you actually get a massive power spike at level 9 that people don't understand about the Gabite. And then Garchomp is just Garchomp and takes over the game. You get the right Unite move usage in like the middle of the game. You give yourself all that momentum. You get ahead. Unite at Zapdos. Can't lose the game. Garchomp is S tier because that. I'm not saying it's like number 1. I'm just saying like the major changes from the last tier list are I'm confident that Garchomp is S tier and Greedent is just bad now. Like that's the biggest things. Also, Gible is really good in lane. You manage 5 stacks, GG easy. Also, another problem that happens with Gible is laners don't understand it, so in solo queue that can hurt Gible, but no matter how many times you die in lane, you're still in the game as Gible, but you need to fight with your team. You can't ignore your team to farm the entire game away. You need to be there for some experience, you need to be there to help out the team. You can definitely fight, and if you get 5 stacks, you clean up the fight. At any stage, Gible, Gabite, or Garchomp. So yeah, that's nothing. Also, with junglers, like, you can't over-force the gank. Gible, like, can't get in with a gank against, like, certain range compositions. And if it's, like, trying to attack the opponent under their goal while they're getting shields and citrus bears and stuff, like, yeah, that goes bad. Gible can't disengage. So it has to take the right fights, but it usually can under skilled play, and then Garchomp is just going to hard carry the game after that. So that's where we are there, and now we kind of just get to build the list out. What happened to Zeraora? Nothing. Still the best Pokemon in the game. What happened to Cinderace? Nothing. Still the best AD carry in the game, but Decidueye's coming out later. It's actually over a week from now. So Decidueye's coming out on the 19th, the same day as Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. I'm probably not going to do a tier list update or Decidueye gameplay because I'm going to be too busy with new Pokemon games. I don't know. Things are too wacky, and Crustle is still absolutely disgustingly cracked. So I will put Garchomp at, like, the bottom of S tier, but it is the hardest hyper carry in the game. Like, late game, Garchomp makes up for any deficit. If there was a Cinderace that got, like, super fed, same thing for, like, a Greninja or any kind of, like, frail carry Pokemon, just like the squishy glass cannons. If they got fed, nah, Garchomp just eliminates that gap, even if Garchomp's a couple levels down. Because you just Unite move on them, you flash chase them, and then you land it, and you, like, 3-shot them with your Ignite move. Then you come in with your Ignite empowerment, use abilities, spam auto attacks, get your 5 stacks, and then you just wipe out the rest of the team. Like, game's over right there. So that's kind of where we stand. S tier pretty much unchanged except for the inclusion of Garchomp. Crustle still disgusting. Wow, I guess I just had a mini stroke right there. But Crustle is disgusting. Never run Stealth Rocks. Never run Rock Tomb. You must use Scopelands. All you have to do to become a God tier Crustle, or at least make this Pokemon S tier, you Shell Smash, you run through the enemy team because you're Crustle, you're just still tanky regardless. Like, you don't lose enough defenses for it to matter, and then you get them back with your passive anyways. So yeah, Crustle just doesn't care about that. And then you X-Scissor the opponents into your team, and it's just unstoppable amounts of ridiculous crowd control that can crit and do thousands of damage. Crustle is absolutely cracked. It's insane. I don't understand how people can play it wrong. After that, Talonflame, I don't know who's at the top of A+ tier. Like, Talonflame, if it gets ahead, because it doesn't always get ahead, and it's not, like, the greatest jungler, because its ganks aren't really as crazy as, like, a Lucario in the jungle, or Zeraora, or a Cinderace showing up at the right time, or also some, like, other more niche jungle picks. It's like, Talonflame, it has to kind of farm it out, but once it hits 7, it can just make, like, one play and then snowball it off of that. So it's interesting to see what happens. But yeah, Talonflame hits 7, steals Dreadnought. It's probably level 8 by then, maybe even level 9 off of Shenanigans, and then it's just too oppressive. There's no fun allowed once Talonflame enters the game, because all it has to do is fly in, never go Brave Bird. You fly in, and then you Flame Charge out. And there's nothing you can do about it, and you lose half your health, and 8 seconds from now, it's going to happen again. And maybe it just flame charges into you, and then the team follow up, and then, boom, you just lose. However, we also just have Lucario, still being Lucario. The Steadfast nerf definitely was impactful. Like, I don't think you can say that Lucario is S tier tied with Zeraora for the best Pokemon in the game after the nerfs it received. Now, the attack nerf doesn't really matter. Power Punch was never the best moveset, even from the launch of the Nintendo Switch version of Pokemon Unite. Extreme Speed didn't really take too much of a hit off of the attack nerf. It's mostly just, you can't get away with it. Like, that's it. You can't keep getting away with it. Well, now you can't, because that's just the power of Steadfast. Never run Scorch Shield on Lucario, or any Pokemon for that matter. That's just god-awful game sense and trash tier play and trash tier skill. But outside that, yeah, Lucario's still pretty filthy. Like, very, very strong early game. Very, very strong mid game. Very strong late game, just not giga uber strong like Garchomp, Cinderace, Zeraora. And Crustle is mostly like a mid game hard carry Pokemon that has some use in the late game. It does drop off, but it being able to like 1v3 people and then shut down an entire team fight with its Unite move, that's why it's S tier. So we got that going on. And also I think that people are just getting better at playing around and understanding Lucario. So that's where we are right there. As for other Pokemon, I don't know. It's like Mr. Mime's still A+ tier. Like, all it takes is one good Mr. Mime for you to just change your entire outlook on the entirety of the game. Like, Mr. Mime mains are S tier, and maybe like using it as the best Pokemon in the game. The way it just claps, steals everything from your lane, gets ahead, puts you behind, takes over 1-1-3, takes over 2-1-2. Mr. Mime can go into the jungle. Mr. Mime can do whatever it wants, and it has the best Unite move in the game. Or at least the second best Unite move in the game compared to, I don't know, maybe another Pokemon. Just feels like, whenever you think about best Unite moves, Mr. Mime's is the best. Just way too much stun, crazy amounts of damage, and it removes just whatever Pokemon are involved from the game. So it's got that, and then it gets to stun, lock, and just win. So, I mean, it wins lane, and then it just becomes like an assassin with the stun on its confusion. And then it has the best Unite move in the game, and because it's a support, it comes online super easy. So it doesn't even need it doesn't have to earn getting to the stages where it does disgusting things inside the game. So yeah, Mr. Mime, yeah, it's like S tier by main, and just A+ tier overall because of that. And there we go. Mr. Mime is pretty ridiculous. Big change I want to put, Cramorant is A tier. I hate it. Like, Cramorant was S tier at one point, and then they nerfed it 3 times, and they haven't touched Zero Aura, and they thought the non-nerf to Lucario was acceptable, and then they buffed Talonflame, but they nerfed Cramorant? I don't, and then, like, the patch notes are a complete joke. So out of all the things going on in the games, they actually, like, reworked Ninetales, which is more of a nerf than anything. Like, it's pretty much a hard nerf until you get 50 special attack at level 15, or even 4 special attack at level 11? I mean, some games you only hit level 12. Like, actually, 12, 13, 14, 15. So actually, no, it's level 12. Like, some games don't even hit level 13 depending on the game state. So if you fall behind, you're never coming back, and you're never seeing the power fantasy. Like, these numbers aren't wrong, but they feel wrong. Like, Ninetales was actually nerfed or something, so we'll talk about that in a bit. And then, like, yeah, these are the patch notes. This is the new ranked season, and this is all that the game was changed, which isn't anything at all. And yet, Cramorant got nerfed a couple patches ago. It took a Whirlpool nerf early on, too, and it's impossible to carry. Actually, not impossible, but you just don't feel it. You're losing tens of thousands of damage throughout the course of the game because you're losing a couple hundred damage like Waterfall and like over 1,000 damage on your Night Move or something. So you just don't carry as hard, and it sucks. And then the same thing for like Waterfall, or not Waterfall, Whirlpool. It's where you just don't win lane as hard, and then you can get things snuck away from you. Whirlpool didn't need the nerf because people started playing around it a bit and like timing their secures. So really the nerf for Cramorant was just a buff against bad players, or buff for bad players, and then the other nerfs don't make any sense when the rest of the roster is allowed to exist as it is. So the more I play Cramorant, the more I just feel those nerfs as like players just get better or other Pokemon just get buffed beyond it. It's like, well, no fun being a Cramorant main anymore, but Garchomp's super cracked, so that's pretty cool. That's also why it's like Ninetales falling from A+ tier last video to A tier now, because like this, I don't know what happened here. It has the exact same numbers as Gardevoir, but that's a big issue because at level 4, like, this has to be a glitch. This has to be an error. This has to be a bug. Because at level 4, that's when you evolve, and that's when you get a crazy special attack spike. But Gardevoir is different in that it evolves twice, and it evolves at different levels. And that's it, like level 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Level 6 is Curlia, and even at level 6, it's less than it was at level 4. And Blizzard got a cooldown, but the Japanese thing said that Blizzard was going to get more damage, but it doesn't look like it got more damage. However, the problem is Blizzard is never viable. Blizzard is never viable. It's always Aurora Veil. Aurora Veil is what unlocks the Ninetales. So by seeing the Blizzard buff, bad players are going to go, oh, Ninetales got a special attack buff, which is false, and then it also got a Blizzard buff, which doesn't really change anything. So now Ninetales is just going to underperform, both statistically and because idiots are going to be picking Blizzard more often now, and then it's going to be on the worst moveset. So the Ninetales on your team are probably going to feel like B tier, if not just unviable tier or something. And the stat nerf makes it A tier, and I don't know. I miss when Ninetales was S tier. Like, early on in the game, it was legitimately one of the best Pokemon. People stopped playing it and then everyone forgot. And then Ninetales has just been kind of underperforming since then. After that, I guess we just go down the list. Venusaur's still B tier, like B plus tier. I don't have the B plus this time. Because, like, yeah, only Pikachu and Venusaur are here. So, I mean, like, yeah, just put these guys at B plus. Venusaur above Pikachu. Actually, no, man. I think Pikachu pulls ahead of Venusaur because that Thunder buff. God, Thunder is so annoying to deal with. And it actually, like, does something. So, Pikachu got a good enough buff off of it to be viable now. It's not like Giga crazy hyper carry, which I also find weird. Because, yeah, as we go through this list, there's no A plus or S tier mages in the game. Cramorant got nerfed out of it. Sylveon just launched as like double S triple plus tier and then got like nerfed out of it to pretty strong A tier, maybe the strongest A tier. But it's like, yeah, you don't have any hard carry mages, yet all-rounder, actually all-rounders are allowed to be crazy. Speedsters are unforgivably broken, and then Cinderace is just an 80 carry, and as that archetype in this game plays out, it's super strong. So I mean, I don't get it. I don't get the balance changes where it's like they're not going hard enough on Pikachu, they nerf Cramorant, and then everything else is allowed to be unforgivably broken. Gengar's still A tier because what it can do. Like the early game, Gengar's early game is like C tier. You can't gank with it. It goes wrong. It'll put you behind. But then like even if a Gengar gets like destroyed or even like dies in 3v3 and gives up a triple kill or something, it still comes back in, gets like one good Unite move usage, or gets like a team fight where it 2v1s off the Sludge Bomb Hex. If you're running Shadow Ball, you're trolling. If you're running Dream Eater, you're trolling. That's why you might think Gengar sucks, because they're running the wrong movesets, or you think the wrong moveset's better. No, it's always, and will forever be, until like something absurd happens, Sludge Bomb Hex. So Sludge Bomb Hex, it wins the 1v2, and then now it's ahead, and then it Unite moves again, and then it starts winning 1v3s, and then it just takes Zapdos or Dreadnought or Rotom, and then, yeah, like, Gengar can just get back in it and then hard carry the game. But it also has a very weak early game, so that kind of pins it at A tier. Snorlax floats between, like, A and A plus tier. Snorlax doesn't have, like, the damage carrying of other tanks or just all-rounders in general, but man, that tackle wins you lane. That heavy slam secures you the mid-game, or at least the early-ish mid-game, and then Snorlax starts to drop off. Block is always good. I think the problem is Snorlax is very team-reliant. If you're a good Snorlax and you have a good team, you can just enable the team to win. Problem is, solo queue, Pokemon Unite, over 90% of the player base is just brain dead. I don't know how it adds up and how the math works out, but I mean, you know, just most of the game has an IQ below room temperature, so that's just unlucky right there. And it makes it harder to succeed on Snorlax, because you could be doing all the right things in lane, but then the Pokemon you're supporting is just drooling on themselves, and then the rest of your team can't do anything about it. So yeah, you could get a knock-up, flash, triple block, and then no one takes advantage of it, and then your team still gets wiped somehow. So yeah, Snorlax has no individual carry agency. It's a very strong enabling Pokemon, and that's just not working right now with Pokemon Unite. Gardevoir, it's like forever permalocked at A tier because it's just it's too inconsistent to be A plus or S tier. I say that a lot, but it's always true. You know, you can get that thing where you like Moonblast someone, hit them with 2 Psyshocks, and then they just get nuked out. Yeah, Gardevoir can just win fights and can just destroy people. Or if there's like a crazy combo in a team fight and does everything right, yeah, Gardevoir wins the game. However, you could also just miss your Unite move at Zapdos and then be the biggest reason why you lose the game. And there's really nothing you can do to change that. Like, no amount of Gardevoir practice will make it to where you're landing all of your abilities all the time and then always having the perfect Unite move. And also the wind-up on the Unite move is kind of flawed in itself, because like by the time you throw it out there and do things, people have already moved around, so you kind of have to predict it, but still like a slow, weird AoE. But if you land the right Unite move, you just win the game, take Zapdos. Or, like, you win the team fight, take Zapdos, take the games. So, yeah, like, Gardevoir's just filthy. But it also takes a while to scale, gets punted super hard in lane, and you could be the sole reason that you lose. Not necessarily because, like, you're bad, but just because skill shots aren't always super consistent. Absol's still B tier. Pokemon gank super hard. Pokemon can get like a triple kill in the early game, take first Dreadnought, and then still lose the game because it just doesn't, it just vanishes. It just has no impact in the late game because it cannot survive in the team fight environment of Pokemon Unite. So I don't know about that. Greninja, A tier Pokemon. I'm trying to kind of do this in order, but also don't take it like as a strict order, even though right now I'm kind of comfortable with how this, Greninja's definitely above Ninetales. Yeah, I'll say that much. And yeah, Greninja's just strong, but don't pick it if there isn't a Cinderace on your team. Cinderace is far and ahead the best AD carry. It should be in the jungle, not Greninja, but you should have a Lucario or in jungle instead. Even a Talonflame over... Nah, it's Cinderace over Talonflame, Talonflame over Greninja, never run Garchomp in the jungle. That is just straight trolling because there's zero gank threat or pressure, even as a scaler. Like, Gible can get through lane. If you have to, like, crutch yourself by putting Gible into the jungle, you're stuck at the game and you shouldn't be even in the jungle to begin with because that's way too important of a role for you. Try to play supports or tanks at that point. Learn the game, get better. But, yeah, Greninja, like, it's good. The substitute change is annoying to the point where it's like, even if you identify the correct substitute, the targeting in the game can just screw you over and there's really nothing you can do about that. So, Greninja kind of got buffed on that sub interaction. It makes Water Shuriken land, but I still think Surf is the most viable moveset, and Smokescreen Greninjas are still pretty nasty in how they can take over games. So yeah, you got an AD carry, but it's not as good as the other AD carry, and can also just be a complete flop inside the games. Charizard, high B tier, maybe even B+. It's rough as a jungle. It's almost impossible to lane with the Pokemon, but the Unite move is really disgusting, and yeah, the Unite move is one of the best in the game, so that kind of like keeps the Pokemon barely viable. That's where it is, barely viable. Eldegoss, A tier, solid support, weak in lane. Like, that's why I put Blissey above Eldegoss, even though Eldegoss has like AoE healing, AoE shielding that is healing, and then AoE Unite move healing. It's so weak in lane that kind of the Pokemon you're putting it with, it's not going to get any KOs. It's not going to win any pressure. It's going to struggle to steal or secure neutral Pokemon to kind of get ahead, but you're kind of putting in there as that like mid-game insurance policy that when the team fights start breaking out, Eldegoss is insane. Now, Blissey, on the other hand, really strong for team fights. I'm not going to say really strong for lane, but stronger in lane and pretty solid as a support. And just kind of like when the comps come online, Blissey is just like, yeah, here's attack speed for my carry. I'll put a shield on him so he can't be crowd control. And Blissey does have the benefit of move variance towards like, they have a lot of crowd control. All right, I'm going to go safeguard. Oh, they don't really have that much crowd control, or like something else that doesn't matter. I'm going to go soft boiled, and then you get the right Unite move, and then you pretty much just make it to where like Blissey plus Cinderace or Zeraora or Lucario or Garchomp or something like that just wins the game pretty much by themselves with very minimal interactions from the rest of their teams. And that's really it. Like, Blissey just kind of does things, and then the game becomes harder to win because Blissey exists. I don't know. It's kind of wacky. Blastoise got a lot of nerfs, mostly just viable as like a CC. It's a tank. Blastoise isn't a hyper carry anymore that's bursting people down while being unkillable. Good. It's very disruptive tank Pokemon. It's like the same as Snorlax. Snorlax is strong laning, but not as great late game, but still like crazy amounts of crowd control. Blastoise still has a strong amount of damage, and the Unite move is ridiculous. Unite move is absurd amounts of damage. Not as absurd because of the nerf, but still like incredibly useful. So better Unite move than Snorlax, better damage in the late game, and then just like some crazy crowd control setups, but more vulnerable in lane, which makes sense for Pokemon that needs to evolve twice. But yeah, it's still alright, but not like A+ or S tier like it has been in the past. I would still consider Clefable a better Pokemon than Slowbro. Wigglytuff, B tier, mid-ish B tier. It's one of those Pokemon like when you get good at the game, Wigglytuff stops being a threat because all you have to do is just stop inting into it or just don't really care. Like, people overly fear the Wigglytuff and then they lose because of that, and they also make stupid decisions like, oh yeah, make sure you don't waste your cooldown move on the Wigglytuff by getting it canceled into the charm. So like, once you understand those things, or just like diving past its Sing and then getting onto its carry when it's trying to like roll in and be disruptive, Wigglytuff doesn't really do anything. It doesn't accomplish anything, and late game it falls off a cliff, and Zapdos is the game. So since Wigglytuff doesn't really contribute anything to the Zapdos fight, like, it can use its Unite move and stuff, but it doesn't like have the damage to offset extra buddy barriers or provide anything to the team. It doesn't give as much as other Pokemon put in. So yeah, like, you can lose Zapdos and then that's the game. So Wigglytuff's whatever. I really want Machamp to be A+ tier. Has a lot of that A+ tier potential, but it's just not there. Like, they nerfed it, and then they never looked at it again, and then Machamp has kind of been whatever, and... Well, not actually whatever. It's still, like, a strong Pokemon. Like, you pick Machamp, and you understand Machamp, and you get to that state of Machamp, and also the level 5 Machoke submission just being absolutely filthy, and then you get the right Unite move usage, and you just win the game. But I think if you want, like, an insurance policy for the Unite move, for the late game, for the Zapdos secure, Garchomp's just better. Garchomp's going to give you a lot more than Machamp, because it does have a lot of that crowd control. And Machamp has, like, the gimmick of, like, hyper unstoppability, and it does get to punch and beat down a lot of Pokemon and just eliminate carries from the game, but it can also get kited out pretty easy, and it feels like it's just a lot more vulnerable. Garchomp has healing baked into its passive, Machamp doesn't, so Garchomp can just stick around longer in a fight. Machamp can just kind of eventually die. Like, it just doesn't have the same amounts of bulk and survivability. So yeah, just pick Garchomp instead of Machamp. It's sad. I'm rooting for Machamp, though. And then Mamoswine's A+ tier, because if you go high horsepower Icicle Crash and you hit more than 2 people, that's an instantly won team fight. It's also one of the strongest laners in the game by having 3 pieces of crowd control by level 3. This thing's the Leona of Pokemon Unite, and then it also has, like, crazy crowd control and potential to pop off with its Unite move and then secure things and then go into combos and whatnot. So yeah, Mamoswine, bottom of A+ tier, but still, like, just ridiculous for what it provides. And I didn't realize this until now, but we have finally hit equilibrium, and that's the weirdest thing about Pokemon Unite to me. It's one of the most balanced games I've ever played. Like, even though, like, there's moments where it doesn't feel like that. Like I said, I didn't consider Greedent to be, like, the god that everyone thought it was. And metas are generally quickly dealt with. Like, Blastoise meta was toned down on the bug fix. Gengar meta was patched out on the first patch. And Sylveon was even hotfixed. And aside from, like, Zeraora not getting a nerf somehow, and Lucario Talonflame still being overtuned, and some Pokemon, like, it's mostly just the Pokemon that are too weak for no reason or getting nerfed for no reason, like Cramorant or Ninetales not getting enough buff, or Pikachu not getting buffed, or all these other weird things that are going on. It's like, the game just isn't, like, the game is balanced, but it's not satisfying. And then you get a patch like this. The game is balanced, so technically you don't need any crazy kind of patches. But I'd like to see something, you know? I like to see the Pokemon that I find annoying getting nerfed down a bit more. You know, maybe taking down some of that speed on Venusaur. Because as I keep on saying, Venusaur is one of the strongest Pokemon while ahead, but it shouldn't get ahead. But when it does, it's like, yeah, it's annoying and it's kind of ridiculous. So, I mean, like, yeah, tag Venusaur a bit more, because I think Venusaur being strong is unhealthy for the game. Like, there's really no balanced state for Venusaur. So I want to see those kind of things happen, you know, bring Cramorant back into the game, Machamp, buffing him. They wanted to make Ninetales more viable or something. You know, I like it when the game is more front-loaded in power, but then it can be at risk of being less balanced. But I don't know, like, it's just so stupid how like, the situation we're in the game. But that's actually nice. Like, that's, when you look at this, like, wow, that's how Pokemon Unite feels, and that's all right. That's actually pretty solid. So, we're balanced, but I don't like it. And I think we need item changes, and Zapdos is still way too powerful, and it just, like, too game changing and makes the last 8 minutes and everything unfun, and then devs not disabling 5 stacks inside of solo queue for rank. So I mean, the game's a mess. The game sucks. There's still, like, no reason to play the game, and I'm very worried about its future, especially when you completely blow the ranked season. There's none due for the next 90 days, but then we have Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Legends Arceus, and I don't know, like, and no competitive scene, and the devs are not having any kind of communication. So, like, it's just not fun. Pokemon Unite isn't fun, but there's a list, and there's what I have to say about the Pokemon. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.